Hi, thanks for joining me. So it's time to do some pickups again. Houdini's not going to be joining us today. I just am leaving him in his enclosure. I don't know, I just woke up and I don't really feel like having him out. He needs to poop and he's getting ready to actually shed his skin off. Which, it's fine. It's okay to handle him and stuff. But anyway, he's doing that. And what I have this time is actually a lot of stuff from Goodwill. You guys probably know, right in the beginning of the summer here, it's kind of prime yard sale time. And I still can't really bring myself to like run around to yard sales and look for stuff that I want because it just seems like kind of a fool's errand. But the Goodwills and thrift stores and stuff will get all the stuff that people don't sell, and so they usually have some cool things. So I picked up some different stuff this time. You'll see. But as usual, I'm going to start off with Game Gear games because I'm still slowly collecting some of those. Look at my hair off the table here. So I picked up Space Harrier. This is a game that I'm not very good at, but it's one of the ones that I wanted. I guess if I'm going to have a complete Game Gear collection at some point. And this just popped up for like a better price than it normally does with the manual, interestingly enough. So I have a manual that I don't need, so if anybody collects manuals with their Game Gear collection and you want the Space Harrier manual, let me know. The other Game Gear game that I got is Arena Maze of Death, and I just tested this one out. It's like an isometric, I almost want to call it a run and gun, because you basically just have, your two buttons are like shoot and you can knife stuff. But it seems like, as the name implies, like some of the gameplay really revolves around like navigating through the environments and trying to like unlock doors and stuff. So it seems pretty cool. And again, this cropped up for like cheaper than it normally does, so I jumped on it. Yeah, so like I said, going to Goodwill, I ended up, I guess I just didn't really find much for like games or anything I was interested in, but I've been watching movies a little bit more, like on Netflix and Amazon Prime and stuff like that, and it's frustrating because sometimes you just can't find certain movies that you want to watch, and I also somehow just got the urge to see Starship Troopers again. Now, I forget if I was having trouble. That might actually be on Netflix or whatever. But as I was at Goodwill, I ran into. I might have to move Babbitt up here a little bit. There we go. I ran into Starship Troopers, and the like DVDs are basically $2 each, and I mean and sometimes they're like on half price sale or whatever. So I was like, man, why don't I just pick this up? So I grabbed this and I watched it again. I love Paul Verhoeven as a director, just in general, and it's a great movie. It's still so much fun. I mean the CG in here, what I really like about it is it holds up to this day so well. And I think it's funny, like the way that they handled the CG in this. Like it's not all CG, it's not over CG. They did it kind of just right, so that like you can watch this movie again 15 or 20 years later, and it's excellent. I don't know that you can actually say that about movies that are coming out now with CG in them sometimes. So I really, I wish that we could get back to a point where CG is kind of like used appropriately and not overused. But anyway, I mean, this movie had a huge budget and stuff too. It was a cool movie. I like it a lot. So that kind of got me started going, well, man, for $2, like, what other, DVDs are there? And so I grabbed this, Die Hard. It's just one of my favorite movies. I might not have said that, at certain points, but I've come to appreciate it more and more over the years. As just, this is a movie you can just watch over and over again. It's so well made. It's just, the pacing is excellent, and it's super satisfying. So this is like a, some sort of collector's edition or something. Again, it was like $2. I'm like, man, I'm not gonna pass up Die Hard. And this was one of the things that I think sort of made me realize that this might be a useful thing to just pick up a DVD now and then if I see, and I've been picking up like anime DVDs, but not so much live action movies. But I've been wanting to watch Dread, and this is another one of those ones like I either can't find it on streaming, or like or you can rent it digitally for like $5 or $6 or something. I'm like, well, I can buy this DVD at Goodwill for $2, so that's what I did. So I hadn't seen this before. It's all right. I've had some people recommend this to me, and because of that, I think when I watched it, I was like, well, this isn't that great. But I think I understand why people like this and were recommending it a little bit, because it's a fully competent kind of like older style action movie. And it's way better than the first Dread, because that was terrible. But it's not anything great, but it was pretty good for like an action movie, and you don't get those that much anymore. So I think that was cool. Am I gonna watch this again on DVD? I don't know. But that was an affordable way for me to watch it. And same thing with this. I haven't finished it up, but I was kind of surprised to find this was new, like in the shrink wrap. It had like a Best Buy sticker on it. Again, $2. The 2-disc special edition of Death Proof. Now, I'm not really into a whole bunch of the kind of video nasty, or like just sort of those old grindhouse like just kind of shock movies and stuff. But I might start just going back and like checking some of that stuff out, because I like to if I find some sort of genre or niche or something that I haven't like explored a lot, it's really fun to like kind of go back and be like, oh, what was some of the cool like metal kind of hard rock beginnings of like music in the 70s or something, and so that's another thing where it's sort of like in the 70s, even in the 60s and stuff, you had some of these movies, just these like schlocky B movies that I think this is really harkening back to. So like I don't really have the proper foundation, I think, for appreciating this. But anyway, I started watching. I watched like the first third of it or so, and like I was basically tired and ready to go to bed, so it wasn't really a good time. So I ended up shutting it off. But it's interesting so far, so I'll be curious to see how this is. Yeah. So. I need to preface like this next group of pickups here with the fact that I like music, and I have this big, maybe not huge, but like a curated collection of 80s just like one-hit wonders and singles and stuff that, I have a handful of like albums from the 80s. Like I literally divide up my music collection by decades. So like in my 80s, I have stuff that I like to listen to just because I like them, like Metallica and Megadeth and the Misfits and Ministry and Twisted Sister and like some of that kind of stuff. But I also just have like this collection of like pop and rock hits from the 80s, which I like to put on sometimes just because it's like it kind of reminds me of my childhood, and it's it's fun music. So I was thinking about doing the same thing for the 90s, because again, like I have albums and albums of bands that I listened to in the 90s that I still like, but there was also all that stuff on the radio, and I'm like, it would be cool to have another like mix of 90s like pop and rock hits that I wouldn't necessarily have like had the albums for, but like there was like one or two songs that the bands did that were good. They'd just be fun to listen to. So I ended up finding myself in this weird position because like my 80s collection is probably 200 songs, and I'm just thinking, well, I could just get these songs digitally one at a time from Amazon, but like if I did that, that would be $200 worth of music, which is, I think, completely reasonable. But you know, I didn't relish the idea of like finding 290 songs that I want and just dropping like $200 on it. So I was like, well, maybe I'll keep an eye out for CDs. And but it puts me in this weird spot because like I find a CD at Goodwill and it's $2. It needs to have like more than two songs on it that I want for it to make it worth me buying the CD and not just getting the one digital song. So it's I don't know. Anyway, I picked up a bunch of CDs, so I'm going to show them off here with the caveat that it mostly is for my like '90s mix that I'm making, and most of these I did get for like $1. If there's like a song or two that I want on it. So first off, we have Four Non-Blondes. Now again, this is just going to have to be like, you know, no shame here, like just you know, guilty pleasure stuff, because you know, these are, like I said, I'm getting these for singles. Interesting about Four Non-Blondes though, I distinctly remember I was sitting in art class and we were talking about the music that we liked, and you know, at the time I was listening to like Soundgarden and stuff like that, and Nirvana, and like some like rock and like grunge, obviously, stuff, and industrial, which I really got into. And so this one girl's like, oh, I like Four Non-Blondes. And I feel kind of guilty because like everyone at the table all broke out laughing at the same time, because you know, I mean, we knew like that one like song on the radio, and it's kind of goofy, but it's, you know, it's a catchy song. And interestingly enough, like later on, you know, a few years later, I ended up picking up this album back then and listening to it, and now, you know, it's not like amazing, but there's a couple good songs on it. Like Spaceman is cool. Morphine and Chocolate, I kind of forget. I think that one was pretty good. But anyway, so you know, again, for $2, and I think I got it for $1, because whatever, the yellow tags were half off that day. Yeah, I got this for, you know, their hit. What is it? What's Up? So there's Four Non-Blondes. I grabbed Bewitched. Now, this one was mostly, I don't even know when they're from. Like, oh, it's actually from '98, so it does count as '90s. I got this because of Dead or Alive Extreme 2. I'm pretty sure that, you know, that had a bunch of licensed music on it, and at least one of the songs, I think maybe a couple, were Bewitched. I didn't know which songs, and I was kind of hoping that maybe, you know, one of them would be on here, and, you know, it might just be kind of fun to have, like, one of the songs from the soundtrack from Dead or Alive Extreme 2. Now, I did listen to this. It's okay. I don't think any of these songs were from Dead or Alive. You know, it's interesting. They had some musical styles to this that I wasn't really expecting. I'm pretty sure that there was like fiddle in it, which was kind of interesting. You know, it's not all that good. But the first song is kind of cool, so that might end up on my '90s mix. Next up here, I got Jesus Jones, and this was obviously for Right Here, Right Now. I mean, again, I guess obviously if you guys, I don't know, are old enough to remember music on the radio from like the early '90s, and you know, that's a good song, so I wanted it. Again, you know, this is sort of like I took a chance because I got this for $1, and I knew there was one song I wanted on it, but come to find out, like, I actually like this album. If you listen to it quietly, it's not quite as interesting, but like when I can have it on my car stereo in my car and just sort of, you know, turn it up so it's, you know, it's loud enough. The music's actually really nuanced. It's weird. It's like, maybe not nuanced is the right word, but it has, it's almost like electronic body music with like this pop rock overlay. Like it's really interesting, just the whole, like, you know, they have kind of like a lot of electronic, like, percussion and synths and stuff like that to it, and you know, they're like a British kind of, I don't know what, pop rock electronic band, and it's good. I actually really like this. There's you know, Right Here, Right Now is the song that I wanted, but like, you know, Who or Why, International Bright Young Thing, Real 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 are like really catchy. It's good. I was actually pretty surprised with Jesus Jones. Now another album with a little bit of like a video game tie-in to a certain extent. Obviously, The Lizard by Saigon Kick. I don't know a lot about this band. I kind of think that they got a little bit lumped in with kind of the grunge scene because of, I'm assuming that they're kind of from the same area. I might be completely wrong about that. But if I remember correctly, this, I don't know if it was the full album, but like at least, I don't know, a couple songs or something. I'm pretty sure were bundled in with the Sega CD. Now, when I got the Sega CD, it was the Model 1, the very first one, and it was really interesting because they were really going all in on the CD format. You had the CD and G, like CD and graphics, like little music bundles that they put in with it. I haven't reacquired those. I do have like the sampler, like one of the sampler like compilations of Genesis games on it. But anyway, I'm almost positive that I was introduced to this band via like pack-in music with my Sega CD. And anyway, like I went back, like you can listen to this on like Amazon Prime streaming, and I was listening to it the other day, and it's good. And I just, again, I happened to find it at Goodwill, and I was like, well, yeah, I'll grab that. It's pretty cool. Next up, something that I had in the day, back in the day, and it's funny. It kind of reminded me of this and another one of these CD pickups here, that movie soundtracks were really cool. And I don't know if you get this anymore, because I mean, I guess one, I'm not into like buying CD soundtracks, and I guess, I don't know, like modern music, I like to this music. I don't necessarily like newer stuff as much. But like these were a big deal, kind of. And sometimes you got like really cool stuff. Sometimes you had bands like releasing a song like only on a like an album, like a movie soundtrack and stuff. But sometimes it was just like a collection of really, this is all just great. I mean, again, this is like Seattle grunge type stuff, but I mean, you had like Alice in Chains and Pearl Jam and Chris Cornell doing like solo stuff for the first time, which is I love his solo stuff. He's great. We had like the Screaming Trees. I mean, this was sort of one of those songs I wanted on my 90s mix, Nearly Lost You, and I was like, oh, well, here it is. I don't have to get a whole Screaming Trees album. I just want Nearly Lost You. And I used to have this. It's kind of cool. So this was pretty nostalgic for me to pick up. I'm looking forward to listening to that again. I'm just going to kind of start, I mean, I'm always so long-winded. I hope you guys are still with me here. REM Eponymous. I actually don't even know if this is an album or a compilation, but it has some cool REM songs on it. Crash Test Dummies. I remember I had this back in the day. I think, I remember listening to it in my car, and I was kind of like, I ended up getting rid of the tape that I had, and they were like all right, but they had like a hit or two on the radio. This doesn't even have I think, which is the name of the song, but it has like other ones that I know, the Superman song or Superman's song. So anyway, again, this was like $1 or something. So Crash Test Dummies. Live, Throwing Copper. Actually, I used to be really into Live. They're like a little Christian, which is fine, but it's not like I never like went out of my way to listen to Christian music in particular. But I don't know that they really like, anyway, they were popular. Like they got pretty popular with this album, and it's great, actually. This is a really cool album. I used to have this. I felt a little bit bad because they had like a bunch of other live albums there, and like they're a good enough band. Like I got their first album too. I'd kind of like to like listen to more of their stuff, but again, I wasn't really like looking to get into like, I don't know, my like old bands that I necessarily was into. I really just, again, I'm making this like 90s compilation, so there's definitely a couple songs on here like Lightning Crashes and I Alone and stuff that I'd love to have on a 90s mix. So there's that. Another album I used to have here, Soul Asylum, Grave Dancers Union. This one's funny too because this girl I would hang out with in high school, and we used to make fun of this, the song "Runaway Train" here, just because it's so, I don't know, I want to call it like just sappy or whatever it is, and like their video was nice where they put a real runaway, children up at the time. I think they ended up finding like several runaway kids because of this album. I mean, that was nice. But it's again, it's a goofy song, but it was popular, and it's fun. It's catchy, and I wanted it on my thing here. Now, again, like I said, I had this. It's not like all great stuff, but I mean, Somebody to Shove, Black Gold, those are actually both pretty good songs. So again, pretty good fodder for my '90s mix. Chumbawamba. This was obviously Tub Thumper. This was for tub thumping. This was, again, just one of those one-hit wonders kind of thing. I quote unquote, overspent on this at $2 a little bit because, again, I know I wanted tub thumping on here. I have no idea if there's anything else on here that's any good. But I passed it up once, and like I went back, and I don't know, somehow I didn't want to pass it up. Next up, Ace of Base, The Sign. Now, again, like I said, like, basically Ministry is my favorite band, so it is a little embarrassing, like, also admitting that, not just because of the radio or whatever. Like, back in the day, I had this on cassette, and I loved this album. I even got their second CD, and, like, I have a rip of that on my computer. But I don't have this one, which probably because I had it on cassette. I never had it on disc. So again, for $2, I know I love a bunch of the songs on here. I don't know, don't judge. It's just catchy, fun, like, I don't know, pop techno music. I loved Ace of Base a lot for whatever reason. And but probably one of like the coolest finds here, I think, is the Mortal Kombat soundtrack. Now, I'm fairly confident that my friend had this back in the day, and it's awesome. I don't actually necessarily listen to or know all of these bands, but this is like the kind of music that I listened to back then. I mean, it's like KMFDM. You've got Tracy Lords, the porn star. Orbital, Fear Factory. I used to have an album of theirs. Typo Negative. I actually haven't listened to a lot of their stuff, but I'm definitely familiar with them. It's great stuff. It's a really cool album, and it's got like the Mortal Kombat song on it too. So I was listening to this in the car like as soon as I picked this up. Really cool stuff. So that's my ton of CD pickups. And most of the rest of the stuff is also, I guess, like I said, Goodwill finds here. I do have one PS2 game. Let me get this stuff out of the way. Like I said, being yard sale season here, when I went the last time, they actually had a lot of PS2 games, and most of it was like nothing that was all that interesting. But they had a big stack of like good RPGs and stuff. It had like Xenosaga and like Dark Cloud and just like a whole bunch of like reasonably cool stuff. But it was all priced kind of annoyingly. Like they priced all of that stuff at like $10 each, which I mean that may be reasonable. It may not, depending on the game. But like I don't want to sit in a Goodwill and try to figure out like if I'm getting a good enough deal on a game. That's just annoying. So I don't know, like I feel bad like complaining about prices at a Goodwill because I don't know, it's still cheap, but it's just frustrating. So this was $5, which again, like most of their PS2 games were like $3 or something. So but whatever, I was like, it's worth $5 for PS2 game that I want. So I picked this up. I'm trying to remember what it was that really got me wanting the Silent Scope games. I don't think I have any of them. Maybe I'll check my shelf, but I know I don't have this one. But I think it might have been setting up my arcade and realizing that like light gun games are really awesome. And I don't know if this one works with there was like a Silent Scope controller that might have only been for the Xbox and for the Xbox version of Silent Scope, so I'll have to look into that. But anyway, I figured I'd pick this one up while I saw it. And keeping my eye out for anime, I happened to find Jinro. And interestingly enough, despite the fact that I love Mamoru Oshii, I've seen a whole bunch of his. I've seen several of his on animated and live action movies. I never saw Jinro, and I think it's even like, well, I don't know if Katsuhiro Otomo had anything to do with this, but this also was like kind of overpriced. uh, it was like $6. Like all of the other DVDs are like $2, and then this was like 6. I was like, why? But I don't know. Somebody there decided this was worth more, but it is worth $6 because I wanted it, and it's like also like brand new. This didn't have shrink wrap on it, but like the disc is new, like the case looks new. It was just new, so I grabbed that. And then, so basically, the only like new thing that I bought this time is an anime, Pita-Ten. Now, so I ran out of space on my memory card, so there's going to be an uncomfortable cut in here. But anyway, I was saying Pita-Ten. I was really excited for this to come out. This is a Nozomi release from Right Stuff, and I'm so glad that they picked this to like license and release here, because it's never been released here. And you guys can see here I have these are Hong Kong specials here of Pita-Ten, and these are awful. They have one of those like translations where it's like translated from English, like from Chinese, to English from Chinese, probably by Chinese people or something. So it's the translation is really hard to follow, and I can just listen to the Japanese. But I just remember, especially back in the day when I got those, that it was less than ideal way to appreciate that show. Now, I was introduced to this by a friend who was living in Japan at the time, and it was just something that he ended up seeing on TV, and he actually just really enjoyed it and thought I'd like it. And it also has like the world's catchiest opening theme song. I'll put a link to that down in the description so you guys can check it out if you want. But this is it's as far as I know, it's based on a manga by Koge Donbo, who is a manga artist. She did like the Digicarrot. I don't know. I'm pretty sure she did like a manga for it, but I don't know exactly how that. I sort of thought Digicarrot started out as an anime, but however it goes, like the character designs in here, if you're familiar with Digicarrot, you'll kind of recognize some of the that similar feeling to it. And I guess she also did what is it, Sugar, a Snow Fairy or something like that, which I might check out just because I like her designs, and I like her like stories. I mean, I guess that's maybe one caveat is I've started watching this again. I'm about halfway through, and honestly, I don't even know if these covered the whole series. So I may be running into some episodes I haven't seen before. I don't have a real clear impression of how this ended at any rate, but it's a super cute show, and I'm really enjoying it. But it's kind of not as interesting or relevant, I think, for me as it was like 15 years ago or whatever when I ran into it originally. I'm just sort of like, oh, it's like it's a show and it's decent, but sometimes these things get built up in your head a little bit because, like, we never had this here before. I mean, I had to go out of my way to, like, get bootlegs of this, basically, even just to kind of, like, appreciate it back in the day. And now, like, now having it, it's like, yes, but, just don't expect the world from it. But it's a cute show. Basically, this character is an angel. She's an angel in training, so she comes down to Earth to basically help this boy, and it's established right in the first episode. Basically, you can tell his mother is dead, and he's living with his father, and his father just has to work all the time, so he basically has to, like, do the cooking and the cleaning and just kind of like take care of himself. And these are his friends, and so basically, this angel comes down, and Misha's funny, that's her name. She's kind of a ditzy, like, character trope. So she's like super cheerful, super genki, but she's sort of like a dojiko, like she's clumsy and she's ditzy, and like she it's like when she tries to help out, she like causes more trouble typically than not. So that's kind of her sort of character, trying to help him. And then you have this other character here who's a demon, but she's kind of great too because she's one of those characters that's like really domestic, really gentle, really kind, and which is of course the completely opposite that you'd think of a demon being. So she's a horrible demon, and she's kind of a horrible angel. So you have, it's sort of like this comedy of errors with these like this bad demon and this bad angel, and like and these kids in grade school. I don't know. I get the impression they're in like fifth or sixth grade or something. And but anyway, it's cute and it's fun. And it ends up having a little bit of a kind of a slice of life feeling to it. But it's also like it seems like sort of a dramedy. For the most part, and I like it. So I'm glad I got it. Just maybe not as cool as it having come out, maybe years ago when it first came out, but it's better late than never. So yeah, those are my pickups. I hope this was interesting again, as always. You know, Definitely now is a good time for you guys to, be, if you're not going out to yard sales, which, I don't always think is worth it for me. Keep an eye on those thrift stores because, some of this stuff's gonna be cropping up. And anyway, I hope you'll join me again. Thanks for watching.